Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar tonight. Our wonderful MVLA current seniors to start off this hour. And then at 7:30, we're going to excuse these wonderful seniors to continue doing their homework and their studying. And then we're going to introduce alumni. So for right now, we're just going to let folks get into the room and then we're going to get started. Great, thank you everyone for joining tonight for our student panel. We're going to get started in just a minute. Let some more folks enter the room. Great. Excellent. Welcome, everybody. This is the MVLA current senior student panel. And at 7:30, we're going to introduce some of our recent alums to talk about their experience now that they're in college. All right, well, time is short. And so let's go ahead and kick it off. So thank you again to the current seniors that are here in attendance to speak on our panel. We pre-shared some questions with you. And we're going to go around and have each of you, I'll call you out by name and then you can answer. Okay, so question number one. You are all second semester seniors. What do you wish you would have known or believed about the college process 1 year ago when you were in 11th grade? And let's start with Romeo.
Hi, my name is Romeo. I'm a senior at Los Altos, and something I wish I knew about the college application process would probably be that it's not as scary as it seems it is. Like, I remember junior year, I was terrified. I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna like stay on top of everything and know what to do? And I'm like so lost, but you know, you learn to use your resources and there's so much available to you that it's not as like bad as you imagine it's gonna be.
Excellent, thank you. All right, and let's pass it over to Chloe.
Hi, I'm Chloe, and one thing that I was well aware of but really didn't take into consideration was creating a Common App account in 11th grade. I thought I had all the time in the world, but I wish I created an account earlier so I could get different college requirements. And yeah.
Excellent, thank you. And Wyatt, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Wyatt. I had two siblings that went to college before me, so I was kind of a leg up on I had kind of a leg up on the process. But two things that I wish I would have known. First, if you want to take the SAT, you gotta schedule it like way in advance. I had to drive like over an hour and a half away from some of my SATs. It was awful. And two, just make sure that you're aware of the resources that you have. Read the emails that get sent out to you. They're really important. They got lots of great deadlines. So that's it.
Thank you. And Aman.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different take. Coming up on April 1st, most of us have gotten a lot of decisions back. And I think it, especially this year, it speaks to the randomness of the process. You're going to get into some schools that you didn't think you were going to get into, and then rejected from some schools that you're like, huh, I expected to get in. So I would suggest that you, like, if you're looking at creating colleges, especially as a junior, choose colleges that you like and choose colleges that have a range of acceptance rates so that you know you're going to go to college. But don't stress out about it because it is so random and there's no way you can control it.
Thank you, everyone. Those were all great points that you made. So let's move on to question number two. So I'm going to do a little backstory and then ask the question. The UCs require 4 short essays. Common App and coalition schools have longer personal statements, and sometimes colleges have supplemental questions. The CSUs and other schools do not require an essay. The question for the students is, did you apply to colleges that required essays? And then what insights do you want to share with younger students? What was your timeline? Any advice, resources, suggestions on to-dos or to-avoids? And let's go maybe in reverse order. Aman, you want to take the lead?
Sure. I started with the UC essays, and I actually found that that was a really helpful tool. The Common App essay is a really hard place to start off writing because it's really abstract. You have to focus on one specific moment, write 650 words. It's a lot, it's overwhelming. The UC essays are a little bit more question answer. So I think that's a really good place for you to start over the summer, because you probably will have an idea straight off the bat, or with very little brainstorming.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, Wyatt?
All right. Over the summer, I would strongly recommend just like brainstorming and brainstorming and brainstorming, thinking of things that you can write about, because as I went into July and August, I started writing my UCs, and it was so much easier now that I already had an idea of what I was going to write about for each of the questions. So I started with my PIQs. I then moved on. I got like a rough draft of those. I moved on to a different system, which required an entirely different application. Then I finished my PIQs, ended with my personal statement and my supplementals. And I think that was a really great strategy, because I kind of, by the time that I had done my supplementals, I had a lot of things to draw on, and I could just like copy and paste some things in. And I also had thought a lot of like really deeply about some of the experiences, so I could write my personal statement better.
Excellent, thank you. Chloe?
One thing that I found challenging about writing college essays were the word counts. At first, I was like, yeah, I only have to write like a 600 word essay. This is going to be easy. But then when I got down to it, it was really challenging, because I felt as if I couldn't kind of reach the deeper meaning. And that leads to my next point, is that you do not want to procrastinate on your essays, because you want to make sure that you're submitting something that you're proud of and that you're in love with, just to ensure that you submitted your best work. So yeah, don't procrastinate.
I promise I did not pay these seniors to say these things, but I agree with everything they're saying. And Romeo?
I would say to take some like inspiration from previous essays that you've written in your English classes. Like I remember I used elements from like my narrative essay, my American Dream essay. So don't be afraid to kind of like reuse writing that you've kind of already done and had graded. And then also make sure that you have like mentors and college advisors to kind of like look over your essays and kind of give you like advice and like tips and all that. But make sure you don't get too many chefs in the kitchen, because then it can kind of get a little confusing with all the extra comments and all that. So yeah, limit how many people view your essays.
Fantastic, great advice. Okay, question number 3. How did each of you approach the college search? How did you connect with schools? Any tips, recommendations that you want to share? And let's mix it up. And Wyatt, do you want to kick this off?
Sure. So I just really want to emphasize that you should only apply to colleges that you would actually end up going to. I had some friends that applied to 20 plus colleges. One of them applied to over 30. And I just say, I just don't see the point in that personally. But apply to colleges that you feel passionate about, and especially apply to safety schools that you feel like you'd be fine with going, because as Aman said, it is kind of a lottery I feel like it has been kind of a lottery this year with some schools. So you really want to make sure that you have that backup plan just in case.
Excellent. Chloe?
I agree 100% with what Wyatt said, but I also want to emphasize the importance of using your resources. Like if you have siblings or just the internet or college counselors or just even friends, so you can gain like different perspectives and opinions.
It's great. And Aman?
Different piece of research your safeties first. Don't fall in love with Stanford and then try to look at your 50 and 60% acceptance rate safeties. It's not going to work. Research the safety schools that you like know you're going to get into, because you still want to go to college. And then towards the end of your college list, start looking at those top private schools. You probably have a good idea of those anyways. You probably don't have a good idea of your safety schools. So start with your safety schools, because then you'll fall in love with those. And you'll also learn about all these different options you have before you go into trying to narrow down, like, don't apply to all 8 Ivies. Please don't do that. There's no point in doing that. They're all very different. And you can narrow down kind of what type of top school you want to apply to.
Thank you. Romeo?
This sounds like I was paid to say it, but use Naviance. In my Avid class, they introduced us to Naviance, to kind of like the college search filter thing, and it worked really well. Like I found a lot of schools that I ended up applying to and was interested in, because they like matched exactly what I was looking for. So make sure you use Naviance because it's like really helpful.
Thank you. So I just want to stay on this question for one more round, and anyone can just unmute themselves. So I heard, doing the research, using Naviance, what other tools did you use to actually research schools or to hear more about them? So Chloe, I know you said kind of talking to some other people, getting a sense of schools, but is there anything else you could point people to for how did you learn more about these schools, or how did you add new schools to your list?
What I found really helpful was just kind of using my Common App and Naviance, because I feel like, oh, this is another thing. If you can, try to go and take college tours. I feel like that's really helpful because, you can hear about like the academics and like how the successful rate of the school, but sometimes the area could be like, I don't know, not as comfortable as like home, of course. So you want to make sure you're a home away from home. And also another thing that kind of might be a little bit off topic is like the weather as well. I'm a California girl and I love the sun. So my mom was kind of like, okay, don't apply to schools if you like in New York just because it's New York and you like want a big city. But also I think one of your biggest friends would be to use the internet. I know that kind of might sound like, okay, like, no, that's like, there's so many things on the internet, but because there's so many things on the internet, you have so many resources, and just just search up questions. Also for the UCs, I'm very fortunate that both of my siblings go to UCs. So I'm really able to get like authentic opinions, not ones from people like that work there and they want you to go. So yeah, that's another. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
To a lot of juniors, you're probably in classes where you might have seniors too. Talk to those seniors. Those seniors have done so much of the legwork already that like they're kind of just there. Most of us are very happy to talk to you. It's a hard process and we love to make it easier for anyone. So definitely talk to seniors, talk to people you know that. And another thing is if you know someone who's works in a career that's similar to yours, or you go approach Mr. Rand about that, because Mr. Rand might know a lot of people that work in industry similar to yours, go talk to them. Industry professionals will have a better idea of what schools they recruit from, because there's a lot, like, for example, CS, San Jose State is a big feeder school for computer science and tech companies in Silicon Valley. That's not something people think of at first. So there's schools like that out there that you might not think of as prestigious, but are actually really good for what you want to do.
Okay, anyone else have anything to add before we move on? Okay, great. And just for the audience, if you start having some questions that you want to pose to the students, you can put those in the Q&A and we'll take some questions once we wrap up this next question. Okay, so question number 4. You might know where you will be next fall. Maybe you are still deciding. How are you feeling right now about your college options, both academic and social preparation, and the next chapter in your future? And let's start with Chloe.
If I'm being completely honest, I'm very overwhelmed and scared, but don't worry, all your peers are going to be feeling the same thing just because it's like a big step. And what I kind of want someone to tell me the right answer, but no one can do that for me. And that's what my mom had to like really engrave into my brain, is that I can't like tell you your answer. I just can guide you. So it's my first big girl decision I'm making on my own, but I think it's important to just remain hopeful and know that you'll decide whatever route that you decide, it will be a successful one. And also one thing to keep in mind is that not every path for everybody is going to be the same. So whether if you want to do a community college or go do a 4-year or even take a gap year or work, that's completely fine as long as you're okay with that and accept that. But it's okay to be scared. It's a great feeling because it's like, wow, all this work. And it's really rewarding when the acceptance letters start coming in. And also another thing, rejection letters really do suck, but it's not the end of the world, because for every rejection letter is an acceptance letter as well. So just know that everything is okay. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Romeo.
I'm honestly feeling really good. I feel like I have like a lot of great options to choose from, and I kind of got past that like stressful point where I was like worrying to that point where now instead of colleges choosing me, it's me choosing the college. So I feel like if you're a junior and you're scared about college applications, just know that there comes a point where you're kind of in control and you're the boss. So yeah, I remember junior year, I was like terrified, like, oh no, I don't know, no one's gonna accept me, but you're definitely gonna get accepted and you're gonna have a lot of amazing options.
Great, thank you. Wyatt.
So I have no idea where I'm going to go quite yet. I'm deciding between 3 schools. And I'm really excited about this, but I'm extremely nervous because they all have like something different going for them. One thing I would like to say is just like be really kind and considerate to everyone in this process because it's a very stressful time, just like this entire March of everyone getting letters back and maybe you got rejected and your friends got accepted. So just be really accepting and respectful of other people. And I think that will make it just a really good experience for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also feeling, I think, common theme, overwhelmed. I think we don't talk enough about the fact that, like, yeah, essays are hard, the waiting is hard, but choosing come April between those, like, even if it's just 2 options, which is what I'm at, like trying to choose between 2 schools right now, it's really hard. But even other than that, celebrate your acceptances. I think, like, when you get accepted, even if it's that safety school that you're not in love with but you like, celebrate that you got in, because there are people who didn't get in. And not just that mindset, but like, you got into college. And I think that's a really big step that we don't recognize. Like, no matter where you got in, you got into college, you're getting your bachelor's degree. And statistically, getting a bachelor's degree is going to help you more than where it's actually from. So celebrate your acceptances, have fun with the confetti, reload the page like 20 times with the confetti, go get yourself like a Starbucks or something. But like, take the win, because at the end of a very stressful high school process, it's a really rewarding win.
Fantastic answers around the table. Okay, so those were the last predetermined questions. Now I'm going to go to the Q&A from the audience. So audience, please continue to drop questions in the Q&A. And I'm just going to open this up to the group. So if someone wants to take the lead, unmute yourself. And then if you want to add, please just unmute and contribute. So the first question is, how did you decide between big, medium, and small schools when you were first looking at colleges?
If I could go first. To be honest, I'm still deciding that right now. That is my question. It's a big school versus a medium-sized school. I will say that in general, it very much depends on what you want out of your undergraduate education. With a lot of smaller schools, especially liberal arts colleges, which are like specifically undergraduate focused, they have like 2,000 students. You're focusing on teaching, but there's not as much research opportunities, for example. So that's something you get at a bigger school. But I think you should first just look at your social life. Like, do you want to go to a place where there's like 30,000 other people and you have one niche, but you're not kind of in a small setting? Versus do you want to go to a school where it's basically like high school? It's the same amount of people. Sometimes it's less than the number of students that go to Los Altos or Mountain View. It really is just about like, what do you feel about going to a school with a bunch of people around you versus a very small community setting? And I think the most important thing is it's very school specific. There are some small schools that you will hate, and there are some big schools that you will love, even though you're someone who really wants to go to a small school.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think that the best thing that you can do is just visit the school. Really try to get the vibe of what's going on. Try to visit it ideally when there are people there so that you can see like what's going on. I think that that's also a really big thing that would help you decide. And also look at cost. I think a lot of those smaller liberal arts colleges can tend to be pretty expensive. So just keep that in mind as you're trying to decide between a smaller or big school.
One thing that stayed with me was that my brother told me kind of drop the whole like safety, target, and like read schools, and kind of make a list of where you want to go. And also that help, because I feel like there's kind of like sometimes a negative connotation around like safety schools, because you're like, oh my goodness, my safety school. But just kind of make a list of schools that you love and you think you'll like, regardless like the acceptance rate, or like, I don't know, I think that was really helpful for me. And even then, I feel like safety schools are great because you know that you do have a higher chance of getting into them, but don't kind of grasp onto that point and kind of have a good balance, which is kind of hard, but I think it gets easier as you do your research for school, or at least in my case, that's what happened.
I would say it depends if you want to feel like a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond. I feel like at some schools, you can get more help if it's smaller, like it's kind of more like individualized and all that. Or at a big school, you're kind of more independent. So it really depends if you want to be, independent or get more support.
Excellent answers. And just to throw in here, we're so lucky to live in this area where even without going very far, you can take your student to visit college campuses just to get a sense of how they feel different. So Santa Clara University, a few miles to the south. You can go to UC Santa Cruz just over the hill. San Jose State was already mentioned. You can go to UC Berkeley across the bay, Cal State East Bay, San Francisco State, Sonoma State if you're up in the North Bay. So you can take these smaller trips to nearby colleges and just start seeing like, what does a 30,000 undergraduate school feel like, or what does a 2,000 undergraduate school feel like? So thank you, students. You're getting some love in the Q&A. So just wanted to pass that along. And then a new question. How did you, or do you find balance between trying to be prepared and working on college applications, researching, but also trying to live in the moment and enjoy high school at the same time? And again, just a big acknowledgement to all you seniors, because last year you were transitioning from being virtual to being back in person. So on top of all of this, you were dealing with that. So how did you strike a balance, and maybe lessons learned on what you would have done differently looking back?
If I could go first, I think what's really important is to acknowledge that it's gonna be just really stressful. I'm just gonna be really transparent, and that's okay, because it's kind of nice in a way, because like a lot of people are gonna be in the same position as you are. But what's important is to find balance. Like, don't wait till the last minute to like work on projects or work on college essays. What helped me the most was kind of having, like, for Sundays, that was kind of like my college time. Like, I had like 2 hours to myself, and I would just like write and really focus on perfecting my essays, even though I don't really like that term, because I feel like perfect, I mean, what is that term anyways? But I think just having a perfect balance is what really helped me. And that's coming from like a procrastinator. But you kind of want to, and it's like senior year, you want to enjoy it, but you also have other priorities as well. So just having a schedule is really helpful.
Yeah, I would say time management is like big like deal if you want to really like balance that college applications and social life. For me, I would like set like 3 hours a day just to work on college apps, and kind of when that like 3 hours was done, like no more thinking about it until the next day. So I feel like that like system worked really well for me.
I can go next. One of the things that helped me, I feel like, was just getting a very early start, having my rough draft of the UCs done by August so that I could focus on some other schools and just be ready to go when I did start high school again and it went back in person and I had sports going on. It was kind of crazy. I also used the weekend mainly to work on college applications. I tried to do the majority of my homework during the week or during tutorial, use the time that is like given to you. And I feel like you can make it work.
I kind of came from a different perspective in that I realized that if I didn't prioritize my social life a bit more, I would just stay at home and work on my college apps, but simultaneously procrastinate. I'm sure we've all had that experience. But I think what I did was I set aside time where I was like, once a week, I am going to 100% go out with my friends, a minimum of once a week. And that way I knew that I was getting that kind of experience. Like I was able to like, I guess, experience high school, live in the moment, go ice skating, that kind of thing. But at the same time, getting an early start, I want to echo that. That's really, really important because once you do that, you feel a lot less stressed going out with your friends in the middle of first semester. Then when you want to go out in November, go out because you know that you got an early start and that everything's on track. Don't let go of your senior year just because of college apps.
Excellent, thank you. So for the students, could you please answer, looking back, we know you're still in high school, is there anything that you would have done differently sooner, kind of at this point? Anything you wish you would have known earlier or something? I'm thinking this might be related to an activity, getting involved in activities or volunteering or course selection, any sort of hindsight changes you would have personally made? And it's totally okay if you're completely satisfied with all the choices you made.
For me, I feel like for like the school like socializing aspect, I feel like like I wasn't as involved in like spirit days. And sometimes I wish I'm like, wow, like I should have dressed up just for the memories because you're literally only in high school once. And I know you're gonna hear this. I heard it so many times that the next 4 years of high school goes by super fast when you're like a freshman. You're like, no, I have all the time in the world. No. So really kind of just take it all in and enjoy it as well. Also, one thing for my like schedule for the classes I took, I feel as if sometimes I kind of lean towards on what I felt I should be taking rather what I felt would be the best for me. And it's a really hard thing to come to term with because especially since we live in such a competitive area, sometimes it's easy to feel like you have to take all the APs or honor classes, but you don't have to because sometimes it's a little much and it can get hard to manage, but make sure you have a schedule that's right for you. And it takes a while, but it's great that you can kind of join AP classes and honor classes, but you have a time where you can like drop it if need be. So just keep that in mind and try not to compare yourself to other people as well in high school because everybody's on their own path.
Please don't stress about your grades. Your B+ will not be the reason you don't get into Stanford or you don't get into Harvard. I can 100% promise you that. I'm sure Mr. N agrees. That like, I think of course you should look to like putting effort into school. I'm not denying that, but if you get a B+ second semester junior year, even second semester junior year, that's fine. That's not the reason you're not getting into a college that you like and that you love. And kind of my second point there is when you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your time after school, don't think about what's going to look on your college application. Because that's going to be the way you're not going to get into college because you're going to be doing things that you think look good, but there's 20 other people who are applying that are doing the same thing. Versus if you do what you care about, that shows up a lot better. And it's easier to write essays if you actually care about what you're doing. So other than just like you should spend your time doing things you love, it's also looks better in applications if you're doing something that you're passionate about rather than just choosing extracurriculars that you think would look good on an application.
Yeah, I would just echo what Aman and Chloe said, choose classes that you actually want to be in, do extracurriculars that you actually want to do. Don't just choose classes and extracurriculars because you think they look good on a college app. Because I feel like admissions officers can kind of see through that. So just be passionate about what you're doing and you'll be fine.
Also, one more thing, if I may. For me, I kind of got really hung up on like acceptance, like percents for schools and stuff. And my brother really helped me with this because he said, Chloe, everybody has a 50-50 chance of getting into a school and not getting into a school. And I got accepted into schools that I never thought I had a chance. to get into, but then I also got like from some of my safety schools, they didn't accept me, which is fine. But that's how you know, just if you want to apply to a school, do it, because you really never know. And you don't want to lessen your chances just because you didn't apply, because then that's just a straight up no. So make sure you give yourself options and don't be scared.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank the current seniors so much for your time on behalf of the audience and all of us at MVLA. We're so proud of you and excited for your next chapter. And I'm going to excuse you now so you can go on with your evening and study and get some rest. So thank you so much. We'll say goodbye and we'll transition to introducing our alumni who are here, current college students, and are back to speak about their experiences now that they've started college. So welcome. Welcome MVLA recent graduates, our notable alumni. So we will get started with our discussion now. So I pre-shared questions with you all. And as we discussed, I'm going to read the question and then I'll call out your names to start. And then towards the end, we can just have anyone unmute that wants to. Okay, so for our recent alumni, you are college students. What do you wish you would have known or believed about the college process when you were in high school? All right, and let's start with Mihir.
Sure, yeah. So, hi, Mr. N, how are you?
So excited to have you here.
Sorry. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, I think, yeah, so just like in terms of college experience, yeah, when I was in high school, I didn't really know what to like list down in terms of like my applications. So I listed down everything that I pretty much did in high school. And so that went from community service to coursework to activities and stuff like that. So it really helped me because it showed like how all-rounded person I was. And I think that's something important that I didn't realize was very important, but colleges really want to see how involved you are in really anything. So it just doesn't have to be about your major or anything academic. It could be really about anything you're really interested in, and they want to see how well-rounded you are.
Excellent, thanks for kicking it off. And how about Carolina?
Hey guys, I'm Carolina. I went to Los Altos High School, and something that I wish I would have known kind of in the college process was, well, actually that I'm really grateful for is that I'm a first generation student. And so I had Avid with me, and I had a lot of resources that maybe other people didn't have. And I didn't really know anything like how to apply to college or anything like that. I guess like for the UCs, the prompts and stuff like that, like he was saying, you can write down really anything. The colleges want to know more about yourself. One thing I would just say is just to be like honest, because even though if you do have hardships while going through everything, you should tell them that, because it may have reflected on your grades that you got or somewhere like that.
And let's go to Ava.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ava. I was a student at MVHS, and now I attend Claremont McKenna. I wish I'd understood that other people's college journeys did not have any impact on mine. I was lucky to have a lot of older friends who warned me that once it got to senior year, people were going to be talking about acceptances and where they were going to apply. And it's not really that useful to compare yourself, because after you reach a certain threshold for a college's requirements, you look the same on paper as a lot of other students. And at that point, it's a lottery, and you really can't blame yourself or your work thus far. And so I also wish I had realized sooner that communication with admission representatives is like a much bigger deal than it seems. And I really didn't want to send those emails. And I'm really glad that my parents asked me to and pushed me into it a little bit, because I think that's definitely why I'm here today. And then lastly, I think I learned this pretty late in the college process, but it's much better to look at colleges holistically than specific programs or majors, because you are attending a college based on the entire college experience, not simply the life that you lead while you're studying for a specific major. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, let's go over to Zane.
Everyone, great to see some familiar faces here. I'm a freshman studying at USC, and I think I wish I would have known that college is a lot more about what you make of it than the school, like the actual college you go to. I know people drowning in work at top 5 schools who aren't able to take advantage of any of the resources. And I know people who are going to way lower ranked schools, but are meeting great people. They're taking advantage of resources, they're networking, they're doing a lot of stuff outside of classes. And that's really what's going to make or break your college experience. The name matters. I'm not here to tell you the name doesn't matter, but if you're someone who takes advantage of stuff, you're a go-getter, you're gonna be successful in life in college no matter where you go.
And is it Jiro or Hiro?
Yeah, it's Jiro.
Perfect.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jiro. I graduated from Mountain View in 2020, and I'm currently a freshman right now at Stanford. Something I wish I would have believed about the college process in high school is that I think the key to the whole entire college process is just being your authentic self. I think you have like such a limited space and opportunity on your applications to get across who you are as a person, that simply doing things like reiterating grades or extracurriculars and life experiences, they only really mean so much until you're able to connect them back to like how that influenced the way you think and the way you are as a person or as a learner, and how you're going to contribute, I guess, to the bigger picture of whatever schools it is that you're going to be applying to. And I also think that in the end that it's also really important to remember that like college acceptances and rejections, they don't mean anything. And like, there's always, I think like other people were saying, there's so many factors that go into these decisions, that ultimately who you are as a person, I guess, it shouldn't be defined by any of this.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. It was great to hear all your voices, and we so appreciate your perspective. Okay, question number 2. In what ways did attending an MVLA high school prepare you for college? And what were you unprepared for this year? So ways you were prepared and ways you were unprepared. And let's go in reverse order. So Jerry, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I think that Mountain View really helped me to prepare for college because there was so much opportunity to take a variety of classes. I think that was a really big thing for me, especially being where I am now and hearing the experiences of other students who are from other different parts of the country. It's definitely very different that Mountain View has like a plethora of different subjects to choose from. And I think in itself, being exposed to so many subjects and being surrounded by so many diverse people, you have so much more of an opportunity to have like a growing perspective, more so I think than other people in other places are able to. So I think that in that sense, I've been able to carry on all of those like skills and the work ethic that I was able to get through Mountain View and through all of my peers and things like that into college, which has been really useful. I think also Mountain View really prepared me in the sense that the community, it can be tight-knit if you work to make it tight-knit. And I think that having connections with staff and working to actually have those good connections, it's really meaningful in the long run, also with applying in college and things like that. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks. Okay, Zane.
I think one of the things that an MVLA high school prepared me for was, I think, echoing my general theme from before, which was taking advantage of help. There are going to be a ton of resources thrown at you at college, and just like in high school, it's going to be your prerogative to take advantage of them. I think at Los Altos High School, teachers generally did a good job of making themselves available. You were always free to book an appointment with the teacher. There were office hours, there was tutorial, stuff like that. Just to give you an idea, for my CS classes, there are office hours 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day. Okay, from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can always go in and get help. Now, no one's going to tell you to get help. No one's going to force you to get help. It's up to you to get help. And there's always TAs and there's always professors there just sitting and waiting for students to come to help them with their coursework. So like I said before, I think Los Altos High School did a good job of preparing me for that in terms of taking advantage of resources. And I encourage you guys to continue doing that in college because I think that's really important.
Great, thank you. I think next is Ava.
I felt incredibly well prepared for my first semester and this semester of college. In terms of academics and extracurricular experience, And I feel very lucky to have gone to Mountain View and received the education I did, because the skills that I practiced over the years were everything that my professors were looking for this semester and last semester, especially in terms of writing and analysis. And there was a jump in homework load, obviously, and there were different concepts that were being talked about, but it wasn't anything that I hadn't been equipped to face. The only thing I've really learned that's been completely different in college than in high school is that a lot of my professors require Chicago style citations, and all my professors in high school wanted MLA, but it's been pretty smooth sailing otherwise. I would say that at the beginning of my first semester last year, a lot of my friends were really struggling with balancing social skills and the homework load and everything they were trying to apply to in terms of clubs and organizations. I felt really well adjusted. I think that Mountain View had that kind of culture already. And while I didn't necessarily learn balance at Mountain View, I definitely was well prepared to learn it at college. Although I will note, distance learning was difficult for information retention for me. I was in distance learning for most of my senior year and a bit of my junior year. Several classes I took senior year are classes I'm taking now because of our core class and GE program here. It is a little like I'm learning it for the first time. I don't think that's as much on Mountain View as it is on the general situation. But in terms of extracurriculars, MVHS's opportunities really prepared me for leadership roles and involvement on my campus.
Thank you. All right, Carolina.
So kind of going off what like Zane said, about the resources and stuff like that. At Los Altos High School, I kind of spent most of my time in the College and Career Center because there were like lists of like internships that you can take to widen kind of your social network as well. It's very good to have like a wide network because that's how you meet people and that's how you grow also. And older people, they have had their experiences, and so you can kind of get what happened to them and then take that into your own consideration. And also something that I learned in college that I didn't really know in high school was that no one's going to hold your hand whatsoever. You are completely on your own. You're more independent. And like Zane was saying, if you want to attend office hours, you can attend office hours. They're there for you. And yeah.
Great, thank you. And me here.
Yeah, sure. So I think going to an MVLA school was really nice because there were a lot of opportunities to join like a good amount of clubs. I think there were over 100 clubs at Los Altos High School, which was incredible. So you have excellent opportunities for joining clubs and even being active participants in them. And also like another opportunity I was given in high school was also taking advantage of community college courses, which was also at Foothill College through Los Altos High School. So that was just a great way of just learning something new, something definitely not in the Los Altos High School curriculum, but rather a college course. And that was a great way to like kind of step into that level of independence when doing college level coursework. I will tell you right now, college coursework is definitely like a step up from high school courses and AP courses. But like Zane and Carolina mentioned, if you take advantage of your resources and really ask around, you'll be all right.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next question. Tell us a bit about your college experience so far. Have you joined a club? Have you met with some professors? Have you discovered a new hobby? Just give us a little insight what it's like to be a college student these days. And let's start with Ava.
Well, I'll preface by saying that Claremont McKenna, my school, is a small school. We have about 1,300 students, which is much smaller than Mountain View. At the time of graduation, I think there was maybe 2,200 students. But all of my classes, or almost all of my classes, are under 20 students, which means that I connect really, really well with my professors in every single one of my classes. They know me by name, they know my interests. And that has been really helpful in terms of understanding different concepts, being able to feel like I have a support system at CMC, and going into office hours like people have mentioned earlier. In terms of involvement on the campus, I work at the CMC admissions office as a secretary, and I also work as a CMC admissions tour guide. And I hold an internship at the Office of Events on campus. I'm part of the Advocates organization. I'm a member of the 5C Club volleyball team, which has been really fun and diversification for my extracurricular and athletic experience. I'm really enjoying my classes as well, even though most freshmen and sophomores at liberal arts colleges, I think, take a lot of core classes and GEs. I have really liked my philosophy of reality class, my Spanish class, my history of Northern Africa class. At CMC, every student has to take a first year seminar in either humanities or writing. And I'm currently taking a seminar on the good life, where we study different developmental indicators of a good life in low income, middle income, and high income countries, and try to determine what makes a good life universal and what doesn't, and what requirements there are depending on where you live and how you grow up. That's one of my favorite classes right now. I actually just got to teach an entire class for the course on global health, and I would say I'm really assimilating to being a college student. It's been a lot of fun so far.
So exciting. And this is your first year. It's amazing. Okay, Zane.
Sure. Okay, so a couple of things I'm doing in college is I perform music every week at a local coffee club. There's these things called jam nights, and everyone just gets together and plays music, which is super fun. I go to the gym and play pickup basketball a couple times a week. Gyms are free in college, or free. I mean, it's included with your tuition, but you can just go and play basketball with people, which is super cool. In terms of more major related things, I'm a CS major. So when I'm not doing work, which is most of the time, I'm a member of the Rocket Propulsion Lab, which is the first student organization to put a rocket into space, like in America. And I'm working on some software stuff from them. I'm also a member of the Blockchain Club at USC. The Blockchain Club is really cool. They got like a ton of funding, and I'm doing research with them. There's a lot of incredible people in these types of clubs. I mean, some of the people in the blockchain clubs are making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling NFTs, and a lot of really cool projects going on. And yeah, I mean, the breadth of people I'm meeting at USC it's really incredible. And I'm really enjoying it so far.
All right, Jiro.
Yes. I love college so far. I love everything about it. I definitely was, I think, very eager to come back because I took a gap year last year. So I had a lot of time to kind of ponder about like what I want to do with my education and what I want out of my education. So I think being here so far, I've been very satisfied with how things have been. It's definitely still like an ever-changing situation with COVID at times. Things have been like kind of rocky here at Stanford, and just getting COVID, there's inconveniences just because our school is on the quarter system. So I think that's also another aspect of college that's been really different for me, and something that's been really difficult to adjust to in a sense. I think being on a quarter system is really fast paced, and it's packed into 10 weeks of just classes. So I guess there's benefits in that I'm able to take a lot of classes and I'm able to explore. And the other nice thing is I'm also not, I don't have to declare a major until the end of my sophomore year. So it gives me opportunity to like search more interest and see what I'm into. But then at the same time, I've personally found that being on the quarter system, it kind of thins out what you're learning, and it's more so like you get what you put into it. And I think because it's so fast that a lot of the times it is really difficult to kind of balance all of the time with academics and socializing, and then like also maintaining like mental health and physical health. A lot of that has been something that I've had to learn throughout this year, but I think it's something that I will get adjusted to. And I think definitely when like the situation with just everything going on eases up, maybe next year, it'll also be easier. But yeah, I've definitely loved college so far. I think classes I've been taking, I've been really interested in, and it's been pretty easy to connect with professors and things like that. I think at Stanford, there's a good mix of classes that are really big and then also some that are really small. Like my first in-person class was the Intro to CS class at Stanford, which is really what popular. And it's just an auditorium of like 600 students sitting there. And that was really like eye-opening for me because I was like, I thought I was paying to go to private school. I was kind of shocked by it. But then, my next class following it is like 12. So it's all about just like what you're interested in and what you take. So I like that there's a good balance of all of that. And yeah, on campus, I've just been really involved with a sustainability club. We've been working to get things like proper trashing implementations into the different parts of the dorms. Other than that, I've been also able to work closely with a professor on independent research about nursing homes in Japan And I've been able to like foster my interest through that and like computer science, and also connect with like my Japanese heritage. So there's definitely opportunity to kind of seek what you're looking for and like build on whatever it is that you want to. So yeah, I've really loved it so far.
Great. Okay, Carolina.
So I go to community college in San Jose, and community colleges are not bad. I know like in high school, they say like, oh, go for UC and stuff like that. Yeah, you want to get there, but also there is an alternative, which is community college. The first couple of days I walk through campus, and then I see some familiar faces, but and I was like scared that I wouldn't really talk to anyone, or it was just like go to class and then leave. But no, the school really made you like interact, I guess, with everyone there. I'm involved in a project with my professor, my human anatomy professor, because I'm doing pre-nursing. And so we got to work on cadavers, which is really cool experience. And yeah, college is going great so far. It's hard, but you got to push through it because it's your education in your hands. So yeah.
Delighted to hear that. Okay, Mihir.
Yeah, I think college is a lot of fun, and it's also a lot of work. So you got to really balance that out. But it ends up being like midterms here and there, but also like a lot of fun as well. So like, I know I said like there are around 100 clubs at Los Altos High School, but at Berkeley, where I am going, it's around a couple thousand. So it's really a lot of student organizations, and it's a huge public school. So really, you could be invested in anything, and there's a lot of opportunities to kind of grow in that direction. I'm currently pursuing a computer science major. So what I do right now outside of school is like, I also host my own office hours for like the Intro to CS course. So that's really cool. I get to participate as what you call an academic intern. So that's currently what I'm doing. And also like other opportunities like joining lots of lab technician work and computing facilities, other great opportunities you always find in any college, private or public. So I know Jaro said like he had 600 students in an intro to CS class. I think you'll always find something like that. I would highly recommend that with whatever you're doing. But you'll definitely find like a mix of like very big classrooms and very small classrooms and close-knit communities. So that will always happen in college. Another thing I wanted to mention was at Berkeley, since it's a very big public college, you really kind of learn most from the small discussion groups you're in. Basically, the opportunities for like connecting with your professors, I feel, in some popular majors are very limited. So I think that the best way to approach it is by always attending your weekly discussions. And those are very small classes. They have like 20 to 30 students at max. So it's a great way to just meet friends, and also study groups are really important. So keep doing that.
Amazing. Audience, please drop your questions in the Q&A and we'll pitch those out to the panelists. Ava, there's one specific for you. Somebody asked to get clarification. You had mentioned wanting to start communications with college admissions staff earlier. Could you tell us a bit more about timing or what you would do differently?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So I communicated with all the colleges on my list as a preliminary option in, I want to say about September or October, before decision deadline. And it was mostly just to get my name in their periphery, because these are the individuals that are going to be reading your application, right? And if your name is already in their mind, if you already talked to them about something, to me, that was an indication of, okay, this is a way for me to stand out. So I picked different questions for different colleges. If you're emailing the same question to your colleges, that's totally fine. Just make sure the email goes to the specific college. I didn't have any problems with that, but one of my friends did, and it was very upsetting for her, but it was okay. Anyways, in terms of what worked, I applied to CMC early decision 1, and then I received my decision back and I was deferred. So I emailed my representative and I was like, hey, I got my decision back. I wanted to let you know that I'm still really excited about the prospect of attending. And I talked a little bit about anything that I had done extracurricular wise since applying and since submitting my application. And then later on, about January, February, I sent another updated email with a reaffirmation of, if you accept me, I'm coming, and what I had done since then as well. And I think working in admissions now at CMC, I really can't speak for any other college, but communication is really important. And I think somebody may have mentioned this earlier, but consistency and continuation on your application is also huge. Like if there's something that's unexplainable on your application, like your grades are good, and then there's one really bad, like something just happened and like it was totally okay, but admissions officers are like, whoa, like why are all of these grades here and this grade is here? Talk about it. Like I submitted a couple of like blurbs about COVID and about grades, and I think a lot of people in my class did. So that would be my advice. I really think it's the key. If you are really passionate and really excited about a school, start talking to the representatives.
Okay, great. And then for everyone in the room, you can just unmute if you want to take this question. Do you have any tips on how to utilize the MVLA College and Career Services, or how to, or your academic counselor for letters of rec, or just how can you advise current students to maximize the resources on the high school level? But you could also talk about the resources that the colleges are offering, like webinars or tours or things. So anyone want to take that?
I guess I could say with my experience, what I was doing a lot was I often was in the College and Career Center getting help from Jessica Yazdani, who I know used to work there. And it's just really useful for going over like application logistics and getting essay revisions and things like that when you're at that stage in the process. And I think just always getting more eyes, the more eyes you can get on your application, the better. So in that sense, it's really important to utilize those resources at schools, or at your school, but also to make sure that you're starting early and that you're using that whole time that you can to, use those resources to the fullest.
Great. Okay, anybody have any feelings about how important their summer activities were, or internships or research before getting to college? Any strong feelings about that?
So like I mentioned before, I'm in the pre-nursing track, and I was very lucky to get into a CNA program, which is Certified Nursing Assistant. And I did that kind of over the summer, but then we had to stop it due to COVID and stuff like that. But I would just say, taking advantage of those internships, it just widens like your connections. Connections are very important again. It's going to build like relationships with people that are maybe from another college. They might put in another good word for you and stuff like that. So I think I personally believe that internships during the summer, and maybe also summer jobs, so you can get something to write on your application as well, that you were working as in a summer job, not just like sitting down in your house, not doing anything. Colleges want to see that you're very like interactive, that you're doing something. So yeah.
And Carolina, if I can be so bold, if you got that internship and you realize this is actually not what I'm interested in doing, you could redirect your path much sooner than if you just thought nursing sounded amazing, but never had any hands-on experience. And then you finish your program and then you're like, whoa. So just kudos to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Okay, well, we are at 8 p.m. and I just want to thank all of our panelists again. We are so proud of you and all of the amazing things that you're going out and doing and representing so positively for MVLA. So with that, I'm going to close the session. Thank you for all of the people in attendance, and I'll be following up with a thank you email to all of our panelists. So everyone, good night, keep up the good work, and we hope to see you soon.